Moore.
Here.
O'Kane. Councilman O'Kane. Okay, thank you. Shaner. Here. Scott.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Karen Mackey. Karen here? Oh, there you go.
Okay, I took one while you were out. Thank you.
Whereas Human Rights Day is observed annually on December 10th to commemorate the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly in 1948. And whereas the City of Sioux City affirms the inherent dignity and equal rights of all people and recognizes that the strength of our community depends on ensuring fairness, inclusion, and opportunity for every resident. And whereas the City of Sioux City is committed to fostering an environment where individuals, regardless of race, color, creed, national origin, religion, age, disability, sex, or sexual orientation, are treated with respect and have equitable access to housing, employment, education, credit, and other public accommodations. And whereas Human Rights Day provides an opportunity to reflect on the progress made, acknowledge the work still ahead, and celebrate the residents and organizations who work each day to uphold human and civil rights in the City of Sioux City. Now, therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of City Council, do hereby proclaim December 10, 2025 as Human Rights Day in Sioux City, and urge all our residents to recognize this day by renewing our commitment to equality, inclusion, and the protection of human rights for all.
Thank you very much, Mayor and council people. And I want to thank you for your continued support of the Human Rights Commission. We will be celebrating Universal Human Rights Day on December 10th at the museum from 6 to 8 p.m. We have one individual and 2 local organizations who will be honored with the War Eagle Human Rights Award at that time. That's Jess Walker Lopez, Unity in Action, and the Urban Native Center. And I would encourage people, if they are able, to join us Wednesday evening at the Public Museum. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Interviews for boards and commissions, Environmental Advisory Board, Samantha Daly. Samantha, you want to come up and tell us a little bit about yourself?
You want me to tell you about myself?
And why you want to serve?
And why I want to serve? Well, I'm re-upping this time. I've really enjoyed working on our current projects and creating new projects in Sioux City. We started working more diligently on painting like the water drains in Sioux City to draw more attention to the fact that litter that goes down there goes into our river. So we've created all kinds of new projects and stuff, and I've just so enjoyed working with the board.
Question?
Yeah. I would just thank you for at least considering continuing service on this. I'm with you. I think that this is one of the committees that seems to be really proactive and doing a lot of new innovative solutions or just community outreach about different things and different initiatives, which I'm really appreciative of. And yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you guys. Just want to say thank you to those who are leaving the council. Thank you so much for your service as well.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Tim Clark. Tim here.
He was just here a minute ago.
I don't know. Stephen, is anyone in the lobby out there?
Looking for Tim Clark, Stephen. Okay. Okay. We'll go to the consent agenda, which is items 3 through 10C. You can consider these items to pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested by a council member. If you want to speak on an agenda item, please come up to the podium as I read that item. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. Remember to always state your name for the record. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Reading of the December 1st and city council minutes. 4 is a motion adopting the 2026-2030 strategic plan. 5 is a resolution adopting plans and specs for the Art Center HVAC replacement project Phase 2. Item 6A to C are motions approving annual reports. A is the Art Center Board of Trustees. B is the Transit System Advisory Board, and C is the Yamanashi City Sister City Committee. 7 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving amendment number 2 to the consulting services agreement with Donahue and Associates for the Digestion and High-Strength Waste Receiving Improvement Project. B is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the consulting services agreement with DGR Engineering for the Highway 75 Water Main Upsize Project. C is a resolution awarding a contract to Dixon Construction for the 6th Street Bridge Reconstruction Bridge Deck Replacement Project. D is a resolution approving a consulting services agreement with JEO Consulting Group for the Big Sioux River Levee Erosion Repair Project. E is a resolution approving task order number 1 to the agreement with HDR Engineering for grant writing services. F is a resolution awarding a service provider agreement for swayback tree service for the ash tree removal project. G is a resolution awarding a sales and service agreement to Access Systems for 3 Sharp copiers and a 3-year maintenance agreement. H is a resolution awarding a sales and service agreement to Visual Edge IT for 4 Casera copiers and 3-year maintenance agreement. I is a resolution approving a development agreement and minimum assessment agreement with DC Realty for the property at 3240 31st Street. 8 are actions related and authorizing payments. A is a resolution authorizing payment to A&F Construction for the 2024 Annual Sidewalk Program Project. B is a resolution amending resolution number 2024-1065 relating to authorization payment for the American Arbitration Association for arbitration deposits. 9 are applications for liquor licenses, and 10 are boards and commissions and committee minutes. Anyone to be heard on any of those items? Calling the roll?
Yes.
Okay.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Recommendations of Planning and Zoning. 11 is a motion acknowledging the Board of Adjustment actions of November 25th. I'll move that.
Second.
Call the roll.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
How does that get through? I was so interested or intrigued by this of how a tiny portion of a road.
I'm trying to think where it's at, isn't it?
It's over like right across from Bob Rose or in that area, right? The Transit Avenue one?
Oh, and no, it's,
No, it's up by my office.
what, A&A.
Or yeah, never mind. Yeah, you're right. It is down
Right by
there.
my office.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Right across the street from up there.
So what, well, let me read it. 12 is an ordinance dedicating and renaming a portion of the right-of-way at 3903 and a half 3rd Avenue as Transit Avenue. The petitioner is the city of Sioux City, and P&Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second.
So what is this?
Not that
Wade?
it's important, Wade. I just was so curious of how this happens.
So normally we acquire property, or Wade Schultz planning. We acquire property for street projects, and this was done for the Transit Avenue project several years ago. This was on our snow cleaning list, and so we noticed it, got it, and we're putting it into the transportation system.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, you're.
Anyone to be heard? Go ahead.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Anybody opposed waiving statutory rule? I'll move it.
Second.
No.
Waters,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott,
I'll move second and third.
Second.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters.
Aye. Patrick, keep it on your list.
13 is a hearing and ordinance rezoning 2319 41st Street and 2605 and a half 41st Street. The petitioner's Rod Lieber, P and Z recommends approval. Somebody will need to move it.
I'll move that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Andrew Gleiser, Planning and Zoning Chair. We had a lot of community discussion on this one. A lot of things that were brought up was, there was a lot of concern about the grading, how long the grading would last, the different slopes of what the gradient, final grading would be. We had Brett Langley was available to talk to us for the petitioner. We were told that the grading would all be done within the year. There will be dirt removed. The prior site plan or discussion was talked about no dirt being removed from this site. The current one does have dirt being removed from the site. That was discussed also. I believe Gordon mentioned that the cubic yards that we're looking to come out would be about 8 trucks a day for this to be done in a year. So that was discussed. There was also, one of the big concerns was the scheduling, as we were concerned about the scheduling, but to have it all graded and completed within a year is what was discussed. Parking, the density of the houses was also under discussion, but they all would meet all our current zoning requirements. So one other thing that came up too was who was paying for development. I think there was maybe some misconception that Sioux City taxpayers were paying for this. I know they've gotten some grants and that kind of funding, but Brett was adamant that the developer pays for all this. So that was a bunch.
Was adamant that what?
I'm sorry, what?
Was adamant that what?
The developer is responsible for paying all this.
Oh, there's big funds to.
Well, there are
yes,
different
state-
programs incentivizing a
That may
development, but
be, but you can't say the taxpayers are not paying for some of this. That's not the truth. And the dig funds are taxpayer dollars. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying you can't, let's be honest here. Dig funds, if you didn't do dig funds, you wouldn't tax.
Okay, well, as there's the TIF funds and the grants that
Right, I get the
that they
TIF.
got it, but it wasn't, Sioux City taxpayer, it was grants that they were given, correct?
No.
it's
Dig
programs with
funds
Sioux
are
City.
tax
Okay.
dollars. They're not TIFs, they're not anything but tax dollars.
The dig funds.
They're dig funds, and it
But
takes
there will be
taxes
TIF
to
used as well.
have dig funds.
Teresa Fitch, Finance Director. Actually, the dig funds are water and sewer funds. They are not GO bonds. So they are transfer-ins
Okay,
from
then,
water and sewer.
okay,
So
then, that's kind of amusing to me, because that's never been explained that way in all my years that I
Well,
not
within-
know that dig funds came that way,
But they
even if
used
that's
to.
the case,
They used to up
I'm
until
paying
about
for it
2
one
years
way or
ago.
another, either in a water bill or.
No, I agree. I just want to make it clear that
Okay,
that's no
well,
longer allowable for
that's
GO
amazing.
bonds. So
It's always been that way?
no, just
No.
2 years ago with 718, it changed. I just don't want somebody to tune in and think
I
we're paying
stand-
for it out of GO bonds when we can't. So it is transfer out water and sewer.
It's still,
Which is.
No, I
contributing-
agree. It is still
Right.
tax, I mean, it's still, city
get it.
funds, but it's
I
not
get it.
those funds, so.
Right, but the water and sewer comes out of each one's enterprise.
Yes, it
They
comes out of
fund it,
their,
they have
it's
their own-
ratepayers
Yep.
instead of,
Right, and it's being put in for water and sewer.
Correct.
Installation for infrastructure for this, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, which is what our dig funds are supposed to be used for, infrastructure.
Correct,
As
yes.
we peel back that onion a couple of years ago in our,
Right.
right?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Clear as mud.
Well, yeah, well, let's call it.
I'm just kidding.
Let's call it
Water
mud.
and sewer funds are going to new construction of water and sewer infrastructure,
Correct.
in a nutshell.
So, yeah, there was a lot of good discussion. I'll leave it up to you guys if you got any more questions for myself. It did pass amongst our group
6-0 and then
6, we had one abstain.
one abstaining.
Yeah, with 6 voting for.
Chris Madsen, Planning Manager. Just because of the scope of the project, we didn't want to go through the presentation. A little bit condensed from what we did at Planning and Zoning, just to give an overview of the project. So you see the site here highlighted in green on the map. 41st Street and Outer Drive to the south, Indian Hills here to the southeast. The plat overlaid on the aerial here within the center of that image. To kind of go through the history on the site, because it has been before you a couple times, in 2019, a rezoning preliminary plat was submitted. It consisted only of the westerly property, about 33 acres, and at that time, 140 units, single-family detached units were being requested. That item was deleted from the City Council agenda on July 22nd of 2019. No action at City Council was taken. And after that, the developer did purchase more land in the area and came forward in 2023 for a concept plan. Just an overview of what that concept plan was. It's an optional preliminary step before preliminary plat rezoning that the developer can take. It's not required by code. At that time, 92 single-family detached and 41 twin homes were proposed on an expanded 49-acre site. 5 public meetings were held, 1 planning and zoning and 4 city council. The first city council hearing was a deferral to allow for a public meeting to occur at North Middle School. That did happen on September 7th of 2023. The item came back to city council through 3 readings and was finally approved September 25th of 2023. So today before you is a rezoning preliminary plat, so the next step after the concept plan. That includes the grading and infrastructure plans that have been submitted. The plan does show 115 lots, 156 total units, so that has increased from the concept plan. 85 of those units would be single-family detached, 38 twin home, 21 threeplex, 12 units as fourplexes, then 2 stormwater lots and 1 public park. That was a requirement that council made during the concept plan review. To go through a couple of the issues that were discussed at planning and zoning and have been brought up as well throughout this process. Grading, petitioner is proposing about 1.25 million cubic yards of cut. 25,000 cubic yards are being proposed to be removed from the site, so 98% of the dirt moving as part of this project would remain on the site or would remain on the property to the north where the grading would be tapered. Yes.
So what we're saying about that is what's being removed is being reused on another portion of the site? That's how we're keeping 98%
The
of
25,000 cubic yards would just be removed from this site or any
the
neighboring.
period, right?
Completely. 98%, that remainder would all be on the site or to the property to the north to allow that tape
Right, okay.
grades. Traffic study, petitioner has contracted with Shive Hattery to perform that traffic impact study. That traffic impact study would recommend traffic improvements in the vicinity. It would not recommend any changes to this preliminary plat as proposed, but could recommend if any stop signs, stop lights, any other kind of public improvements would be needed. I believe, according to the petitioner during planning and zoning, that we'll have that towards the end of January. So our engineering team will be able to review that and determine any street improvements and be able to get that in the budget as necessary going forward. Density in 2024, just to remind the City Council, did eliminate single-family exclusive zoning citywide. It was not just part of this project, it was the entire city. That's something that staff, after going to numerous conferences, did see this as something that a lot of cities were doing, so it's something that we brought up. Council liked that idea, so we brought it forward. So up to a fourplex is allowed in any residential zone in Sioux City. And the developer is taking advantage of that by proposing some threeplexes and fourplexes within the development. The density of this approved plat or requested plat is very similar to others that we have approved in recent history. This plat would have 3.27 units per acre with a total of 156 units. Elk Creek, as an example, 3.21 units per acre, 143 total units. In Remsen Place, Heinrich Court off of Castleman Street was 3.12 units per acre with a total of 20 units. So they're very similar in total density for the entire site. One item that council will need to review as part of approving the preliminary plat, the GR zoning district does require 20% open space. So in this case would require 8 acres of open space on the site. The petitioner is proposing 4. between the two stormwater ponds and the park. So that is something that would be deficient within the GR zoning district, but could be approved by city council. And that would be very similar to the other two plats I just noted. That number was not met on either of those plats as well, but was very similar to what is being proposed as part of this plat. And the last item, engineering is continuing to review the design plans. We have the 60% design plans for all the utilities and public infrastructure. That's something that's not typically provided at the time of the preliminary plat. That's something that we have somewhat in advance as part of this. Our engineering team has reviewed that, provided comments to petitioner's engineers, and we will be getting those comments back for 100% design plans. Showing the zoning of the vicinity, it is really a collage of zoning within the area in C5, which would be very similar to the general residential. There is a vast array of zoning districts within the vicinity of the development. Most of the development is currently zoned agriculture, which requires a 20-acre minimum lot size, why the petitioner would have to request the rezoning. So they're requesting rezoning to general residential, which has a 5,000 square foot minimum lot size. This is the preliminary plat as submitted. You can see there is a street, Buffalo Run, that would connect off of 41st Street to the west and somewhat loop through the site, make a connection to the east to an extension of Indian Hills Drive that would loop the transportation system and infrastructure utilities within the development. Phasing plan, the petitioner is intending to begin on the westerly portion, part of phase 1 here in blue, complete that section. As Andrew mentioned, it would be all the grading would be done at once over one season, 1 year, and then the public infrastructure would follow that. The purple would be phase 1B, would follow the first phase to give that first loop. The northeast section would be phase 3, and then the final phase, the northwest portion of the development. To give an idea of where the different housing types are, everything in yellow would be single-family detached, so adjacent to all of the existing single-family in the area. All of those neighbors would have single-family detached next to them. The more dense, different housing types, 3-plexes and 4-plexes, are shown here in the center in northerly portions of the development, as well as smaller 5,000, generally 5,000 square foot lots within the center of the development. The grading plan as proposed, most of the grading would occur on the west side of the site, and that grading would be moved to the east side, so generally cutting from the west and filling on the east portion. This is generally the location of that tapering on the property to the north, where much of that grading would go, and then, like we mentioned before, 25,000 cubic yards would be completely removed from the site. Staff recommendation at this time, staff would recommend approval of the proposed rezoning preliminary plat following the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation of approval as well. Staff believe that the proposal does meet the requirements in the municipal code and subdivision ordinance, also meets the comprehensive strategic plan goals for having a range of housing types, specifically on the north side of town. And this plan does incorporate the conditions and discussion items that were raised in 2023 as part of the concept plan. So with that, any questions from council?
Chris, there have been several comments written to the council and the mayor. I think the staff was copied on that. At what point in time will those be addressed? I wasn't able to get back to, wasn't able to get back to that to respond. I know Marty Doherty sent me some information, but I haven't had an opportunity to respond to that. Will that be done this evening?
Yes.
Yep, we've already
Is
got
now-
those. Each
now
one.
Yes, as we went through, we did address a number of those comments. A lot of the engineering comments will be addressed as part of the engineering plans. Again, we have received those. Engineering and the developer's engineer will have to go back and forth on making those conditions and comments, the slope of different utilities. That's not something that's typically reviewed at this point. Again, we're kind of ahead of the curve because we have those 60% design plans. The preliminary plat portion is just, are the utilities there? Where are the street layout? The grading plan, are those items consistent with code?
Okay.
So those items would still be reviewed by our engineering team before any construction can occur.
But some of that will be covered yet this evening, this afternoon. I'm just asking, when will those be addressed? I thought maybe some of them would be addressed this afternoon.
Like from emails or people?
Yeah,
that you're
emails
emailing
and
or-
the written comments that were, and we had some good
Yeah.
questions. I just haven't been able to respond to them.
I guess I feel like through the presentation here, we did respond to a number of those, whether it's a zoning issue or a comprehensive plan issue.
Okay.
We are still operating under the 2005 comprehensive plan.
I'll just
There is a
keep paging.
draft of the 2025 comprehensive plan on the website. Staff do feel that this plan does meet the overall requirements and recommendations of those plans.
Okay. So we'll find out in due time what was answered and what wasn't, so that's fine. I just didn't know at what time it would be, what, in the process, because you're done presenting on behalf of P and Z as well, aren't you? Okay.
Yeah, and I should have let Chris go first, by the way.
Chris, I appreciate it. I mean, I would just say to the point you made that I hadn't thought about necessarily was the density as compared to some of our other developments that have been of recent past. I mean, I think it's one thing to look at a map and think, oh, what the density is or looks like, and you see all the lots or something, and you can draw your own conclusions from it, but seeing that it's very similar to like what was done at Elk Creek or Remsen Place. You know, I've driven through Elk Creek, and I think that there's nice spacing there, and they're good adequate lots and good family-sized lots and things like that. So no, I appreciate that, at least comparison. I think that that's important in not just seeing it on paper, but also visualizing it in the community of what the density of our current city looks like already, so, in some of our other projects.
Okay, anyone want to be heard?
David Raymond. First off, I might surprise you, but I'm not totally opposed to this development.
Your email did state that.
Well, I've come to see the inevitability of it. I'm not a big traveler, but when I do go to visit friends and relatives in another city, I kind of pay attention to the newer residential developments, and I sometimes see things that I like cluster neighborhoods where the streets aren't straight lines and there's abundance of common space, open space. And I think it'd be great to live in or near a development like that, especially if the common space wasn't just lawn that needs so much maintenance and doesn't support any wildlife. But this preliminary plat doesn't look like those developments that make me jealous. It has very little common open space. One of those detention basins is 20 feet deep. How are you going to use that space other than, when it's holding water? The park, I'll get to that. It looks like it's maximized for profit, not the quality of life for new residents and the people that live around it. So I would ask that you reject the rezoning and the preliminary plat and ask for a resubmittal with improvements that would be more appealing to both future and existing residents of that area. And I'm talking, my comments here are for items 13 and 14. You're just reading 13, I think, right now. But for the rezoning, they're asking for general residential. And if you looked in the homework, it states that the 2005, I'll say that again, 2005 comprehensive plan, 20-year-old comprehensive plan, indicates this area is suburban residential. Those have different densities and open space standards. And SR is less dense, where GR is 20%, SR is 35% open space. And the units per acre are less on suburban residential. Is that standard just an option? Then if you look at the 2020 draft comprehensive plan, it designates single-family detached. I see 2024 you decided you're not going to do that anymore. No more single-family detached developments, but
Not exclusive developments.
well, whatever. Ideally, I'd like to see it zoned in SR cluster as opposed to planned, which would have a maximum of about 38 units. but even an SR planned would be better than GR planned. And then regarding the preliminary plat, well, you had it up on the board there. They're showing 4 acres where the suggested, or is it a standard? 8. I calculated 9, but it's half of what's requested or was suggested. And just because other developments haven't put that open space in, why not do it here? Why not ask for it?
I need you to wrap up so that other people can talk.
Well, that park is only 1/3 of an acre and it's an unbuildable lot. The 2020 plan says that the city has a deficit of neighborhood parks, which are several acres up to 50 acres. Here's a chance to fix that. I guess that's all I got then.
Thank you. She's next because she turned in a card. I'm sorry. Come on.
Oh.
Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Esland. I live at 2610 Bings Court, which is right up against this development. I think you all heard from me in a really long-winded email. I'm not against it entirely, but I do want to make sure that it aligns with our zoning standards and our comprehensive plan. Dave touched on that. I think he made a good point that it feels a little bit like we're trying to squeeze a lot of dollars out of a section of land. I think we can do better. They've already acknowledged that, and they want you to deviate right now substantially in several places. Looking at the Elk Creek project, and I can't remember what the other one was, they're getting tighter and tighter and tighter. How far are you going to go? Our zoning code requires that new subdivisions implement that comprehensive plan, whether you look at the draft or the 2005. You're supposed to be protecting that health, safety, general welfare of the community. And I don't think this project, as it's presented right now, really does either one. I'm going to focus on infrastructure assessment and traffic for the moment, because that was sort of a striking thing already. Without this project in mind, 41st Street is a problem. And I think that the traffic assessment tells you that my end of the cul-de-sac gets 6 vehicles a day. That's not accurate. I think my Amazon deliveries are like 2 or 3 times that. So we need to update that. 41st Street already has safety problems. If you know anything about North Middle, the kids are jaywalking right where that second entrance is proposed, not the Indian Hills one, but the other one. Someone's gonna get hurt or killed there. Thinking about the heavy equipment, I think it would make a lot more sense if they would put a north exit out the northeast or northwest side of this. That would make it a lot better for the heavy equipment and long-term for the residents. I think that would be a good add, going to the green space desert that you guys have already heard them acknowledge, that they want you to deviate and cut in half the open spaces. I would just encourage you to go back to the map in the comprehensive plan and look at the lack of parks in that part of town. You can't get to a park within 15 minutes. I think 17 minutes to Leeds Park is the closest. It's a 57-minute walk to Leif Erikson from there. There are no parks in that area. I didn't really think about that because my kids are a little bit older, but who are we designing this development for? Pickleball and a shelter? That's their token park. That's not really accommodating the needs of families. It doesn't say, pickleball does not say to me affordable housing. That's not my target audience. Also, I guess the final point I would make is 3 of the council members here today have, 3, 4 meetings left. You guys are, if you move this forward, you guys will be, with so many open issues, you're going to be leaving that in the hands of your successors to deal with the problems that I anticipate will be there. As you,
Need you to wrap it up too, Lisa. Okay.
I'm going to wrap it up. As you, sail off into the sunset. So I would hope that you would not do that and that you would make them take a critical look and at least redraw the plans to make sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up, Brian, your turn.
Ryan Callahan, engineer with CEC 1270 South Derby Lane, North Sioux City. First off, thank you, everybody, for talking about this tonight. And as Chris said, this is numerous times we've been here. This is kind of our third time, first starting in 2019. Kind of the point with that is we've listened. We are back with different comments, and we are committed to making this a project for the city of Sioux City in the best interest of not only the developer, but attainable goal of workforce housing for everybody in the community. Councilman Moore mentioned some emails that were floating out there, and I did have a chance to see some of those yesterday afternoon and evening. Responded to a couple of them. I tried to, at least, to you guys last night. Density, Chris did a very nice recap of how the density of this isn't honestly a lot different than a lot of other different developments in town. This is overwhelmingly single-family dwelling, which is what council has put in their 2005 comprehensive plan. The traffic study, as was indicated earlier, is ongoing. We do not expect that the traffic study will recommend any changes to the plat or zoning, obviously. So we would still recommend and request approval of zoning and the plat this evening, because the traffic study is more going to be geared towards 41st Street, North Outer Drive, some other areas in that, but it is ongoing and expected next month. Engineering concerns.
Just a minute, though. What if
Yep.
it does? I just have a question, a legal question. I'll stop your clock here.
Go ahead.
What if it does, and you've already approved the plot?
Can you restate your question? I'm sorry.
What's that?
Can you state the full question?
Well, if the traffic study says that it does need changes in the plat, and you've already approved the plat, what happens?
Well, I think the traffic study would only be addressing probably what's coming out on 41st Street and Outer Drive.
Correct.
Not necessarily
Well,
within the
okay,
development.
okay, I'm just, he's saying it doesn't affect anything, and I want to make sure that's a true statement. Because once the plat's approved here, it's approved.
Correct. That is right. And there wouldn't be a way to change it unless they would voluntarily bring forth an amendment.
Okay, go ahead.
I will say, Mayor, that if the traffic study does unexpectedly come back and talk about any improvements to the plat, I am pretty confident my client, Mr. Lieber, will have that conversation with you. As Nicole said, I fully expect the traffic study to focus more on North Outer Drive and some of the other issues that were raised earlier regarding sidewalks, whatnot. As far as engineering concerns, all the 60% plans are in the city's possession right now, which, as Chris said, is an unusual step for this. Several items have been raised, as Dan Moore indicated a few minutes ago: slopes, drainage, detention basin, sewer slopes. All of those will be resolved during final design, period. And we are actually a little bit ahead of the curve now with the amount of engineering design and documents that have been given to city staff, which we have had a lot of conversations with, not only engineering, but also P&Z and everybody on your team. We are committed to making this the best type of version of this project. It's been around for a number of years. I am a North Sider, grew up about 3 or 4 blocks from this. Affordable housing is needed, not only in Sioux City, but on the north side. This project provides that. We are very excited to get started, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to stay up here as long as you want.
I didn't have any additional questions. I appreciated responses in the emails from last night. I was able to look them all over and address a lot of the concerns that people had raised or points that people had made. So I appreciate you at least responding to those individuals if you had time. But no, I really appreciate all the time and effort and energy that has went into this and the explanation of it. And hopefully, yeah, we're able to get some good projects going, especially something like this where I would agree that we need affordable housing options. I hear regularly from people in my age demographic, older and younger, that a lot of times we just don't have a lot of options at this point in time.
Thank you.
So Ryan, you're saying that this is going to be, you're going to have some flexibility on addressing the, whatever comes out with the traffic study or other items that might come up on the design?
Correct. We are at 60% plans now, which means there's still 40% left to tweak whatever concerns are raised. I do not expect the traffic study to impact much on the development. I can see commentary on North Outer Drive as an engineer coming. North Outer Drive is actually designed as a 4-lane road, which is, it's graded that way. You have the right-of-way there. I won't be a bit surprised that they come back and say, you know, in the next 5 to 10 years, council should consider in your capital plan to start looking at that as a 4-lane roadway. I think that's probably going to be more the type of things that come out of it. But if there are other concerns, like I said last night in my email, we will address them during final design, period. Already have actually started.
Okay, thank you.
I think there's been improvements made on Outer Drive by the school since
There has been.
no parking and no waiting. That should have been done a long time ago, in my opinion, just because everybody who drives over on that side of town knows how dangerous that had become, and getting those cars off the street. The parking lots at the schools are plenty big to hold that traffic when folks are picking up their kids. And it's not something that they're necessarily used to doing inside of the school property, but it's really working. I mean, it has made an enormous difference. So I think when this traffic study comes out, maybe there'll be something that'll help tweak that or improve it. Maybe we'll find out Buckwalter needs paving or something, I don't know. But, or a sidewalk installed on that side. We'll see.
We'll see what's happened. I mean, Sioux City is going that direction. If you're going to grow north, that is, you know, kind of a logical direction. So as an engineer, I won't, and a long time Sioux City native, I won't be a bit surprised that they recommend a decent amount of work on outer. That's just kind of my gut, but we've subcontracted that out to a subject matter expert that you guys have worked with before, so that it's completely off of our balance sheet as far as recommendations they give.
Turned over to the experts. Nobody wants to see their neighborhood change sometimes. Sometimes we just don't have an appetite for it, but I think everyone in this room and everyone watching probably knows the biggest complaint, one of them, top 4, Sioux City doesn't grow. We don't have enough housing. So at some point, we have to, you know, take a dive in, and we have to go deep, and we have to make a change. And 150 some residential doors is going to have a huge impact on this side of town and spur other growth. It's not going to be just the homes. It could be more businesses. And when that comes out, you know, in recruiting businesses, they say, look, you know, they've got this community and they're growing these 150 residential homes to live in. So there's a lot of positive that will come to. Yeah, there's a little tweaking maybe that needs to go on yet, but we cannot pass up this kind of growth. I don't know how we can, you know, say that we're not going to accommodate this. And yes, we do have to bend and be a little bit flexible. Again, sometimes a complaint that we've had in the past that we haven't been flexible enough with development and being creative, things like that. And I think that's what this plan is going to do. It's using all kinds of different mechanisms that we have to help bring it in, help be affordable, using TIF, using DIG funds, and just kind of coming to the table and joining with this developer. So I think it'll be something that really is remembered as like the first step of maybe us coming in and managing these kinds of things with a developer a little bit differently. But if we don't grow in housing and in size, we're just going to keep growing older. And I think I sent that in an email to somebody recently, that we've got to be open to this kind of growth, and we've got to take a step.
A quote I did write down last night when we were emailing is, "We cannot grow if we keep doing things the way we've always done them." It's kind of the way I look at this.
Not to say that we won't look at what people want.
Not at
for
all.
Changes and tweaks and things
Absolutely.
like that. Absolutely not, but
Let's
gotta go.
give some other people a chance. to
Thank
talk.
you.
That-
You just want to address the issue you raised, Mayor, in case there was a major change.
that?
I just want to address your concern if there was a major change.
My concern is when we get a bill for a 4-lane street that we don't have the money for, that's my concern.
Sure.
We should have had a traffic study before we got here. That's my concern. We paid for it. It's unacceptable that it's not done to me. I was going to abstain, but now I'm going to vote no, because I think that you guys have gotten the cart way before the horse here. You don't, if this traffic study comes back and says we're going to 3-lane 41st Street, there's not one of my neighbors going to be happy, and I got to live with them, number one. But number two, if it comes back, we got a 4-lane outer drive all the way up to Cheyenne, we don't have that kind of money. So what's going to happen is those of us that are there are going to live with it. And the rest of these guys can vote however they want to, but I got to live on that street, and I can hardly get out in the morning the way it is. And it's more lots today than what it was before. So what the hell did we gain in the last year and a half? That's what I'm asking. And listen, that hill's going to get cut, and you're not going to like it, Tina, I get it. And I'm not going to like spending $7,000 or $8,000 putting a driveway around my other driveway so I can get out in the morning when the school traffic comes. I can live with all that. But what I can't live is the uncertainty for taxpayers not knowing what the traffic, because there's going to be changes here. That's what I can't live with, is why we don't have a traffic study already. But yet we're going to approve this plot. Once it gets approved today, guess what? It doesn't matter. We're going to have to do those deals, and we don't have the money, so guess what's going to happen? What always happens in my neighborhood is we'll wait till we get the money, which never happens. So I'm not going to apologize for defending my neighborhoods today. I don't care who the developers are. Go ahead. Sorry, I got on a soapbox there for a minute.
Well, Chris, you were going to address something, and then the mayor.
I was just going to state if there is significant changes to the preliminary plat based off of the traffic study, that would have to come back to council as a new preliminary plat. Minor changes can be made, small changes to lot layout, that can be made as part of the final plat that would follow with the infrastructure completion. But any major change, staff would catch that as part of that review and require that to come
A traffic study doesn't change the plat.
I just wanted to address within the plat if anything were to change.
They're not going to change that, but they're going to tell you need a lot of traffic improvements. Go ahead. I mean, you can't put 156 houses on a street that already has too much traffic and not have some sort of improvements. You're going to have to do something.
Council members, my name's David Isaac Durlow. I'm actually the neighbor to the east of this project, the proverbial downhill. And as we know, in my line of work, poo runs downhill.
I saw the line coming, man. I knew where you were going.
Well, but the reality is, when Bing's was put in, their detention pond did fail, caused a lot of damage. I'm pro-development. I'm actually pro-property rights. I think this developer, the owner of that property, should have the right to develop that property, but not at the cost of everyone else around them. You know, the staff is talking about all the things that are permissible, and I heard you speak, ma'am, about the beneficial nature of having some affordable housing. But most of this thing is just permissible and not really beneficial at all. Certainly not to the people that live by it. And if you don't have to live by it, you really don't matter. It don't really matter to you. And it might make a nice little check mark on a box that says, hey, we got something done, but at what cost? I am pro-development. It is 2025, okay? Not for very long. And this is the best we can do? This says move to Sioux City? No, it doesn't. Now, that's on one side of things. On the other side of things, I own a farm. I'm right next door. That you're dramatically changing the nature of and there's literally no concessions for those of us that live there. I would kindly ask, how many times does somebody move next to a farm and go, it smells great, I love it? Never. You're inviting problems for me in the future. If CEC is right, let's do, if they're, put their, you got a 2-to-1 slope on the edge of it, so you're going to put a 50-foot hill that overlooks my farm and you think it's not going to have a problem? You're going to move 1.25 some million, cubic yards of dirt, and I'm downhill, and the last time they moved much less. And the pond failed and my retaining walls went down, and I was naive at the time. I actually went and helped my neighbor fix them. I just was naive. I was like, oh, well, that's a bummer deal, and I spent a week fixing somebody else's problem. And now after putting the pond in and working with the, NRCS and DNR to build a pond, now this whole project's downhill. I'm a little worried. I'm extremely concerned, but I'm also concerned about I'm not opposed to development. I'm not opposed. And I really like that you're looking for beneficial sides to this, but it's not all beneficial. It might all be permissible. The two are not the same. Why do we even equate it? Sioux City's been looked down on for so long because it's not the place to live. This doesn't make it the place to live. It makes it more like it was. Saying that we're doing something the same as before, we're not considering the people that live here already? I would just kindly ask, and I mean this with all due respect, and we put a lot of faith in our public servants. That's you guys. It's on your shoulders. Because those of us that are in that area love our neighbors and love our neighborhood. We're not opposed to development, but this might be permissible. Sorry. I would at least ask, I got a farm, at least on the grade or something that there would be visually, trees planted, evergreens, something that protects our farm from a new onslaught of neighbors that may not know how to live next to a farm. If, the engineers could, there's a 2-to-1 slope there, there's plenty of room there for trees and something to give us some privacy to operate like we have for decades. Anyway, thank you, council.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Anyone else?
Thank you for giving us time. You all have, this has been going on for a long time. And I guess none of the questions for the people who've opposed it, we really haven't gotten any.
Your name, Tina, please.
Oh, excuse me, Tina Hall, 4415 Buckwalter Drive.
Go ahead.
It has been going on for a long time, but nothing has changed. No, the considerations, the concerns the neighbors have are all still there. The traffic, mine is, of course, the cutting of the hill. And I really don't have any idea how close to my property are they going to start cutting? Are they cutting 5 feet from my property, or is it 20 feet? How close is that cut going to be made? And once again, 5 feet is permissible, but then I'm just going to continue to slough and lose property. The hill's going to come down. It's easy to see that in construction places around town that have the loess soil. It's very slippery and it's erodible. I think that the cut is too steep. I'd like to at least have a buffer that keeps, if it was even 20 feet or 50 feet, to keep my property from sliding down. Isaac's got his issues too about what's going to flow into his place. And I've got the issue of what's going to fall off of my place and fall into people's yards. Who's responsible for that? Long after the development's done, I'm still there with the hill caving, and there's people down below who are unhappy with it. Am I going to be having troubles with the community there? I think the property, the north, once again, is, that's behind where he's going into, that Bill Hansen's area over there. That has got a much more rolling, much lower slope. That seems reasonable for this type of development. But on this hill, I just think we're asking for trouble, and we're also creating an eyesore. And once again, haven't taken into consideration what the realities are. And people are going to have trouble. If you talk to people on Fremar Drive, or you talk to people even in the Bings area, there's trouble with water. Water's going to go. It's going to keep sliding downhill. There's no question, with a 50-foot, 2 20-foot falls and a 50-foot ridge right outside Isaac's place, he's going to have trouble. And I'm going to have trouble on the other end. And it also, it makes my property less valuable and causes issues for me in the future, not just a physical land problem. And I just don't think, the thing that hasn't changed is we're not taking into regard the people who live there now, who have been telling you and asking politely and wanting some answers. Is there anything going to be done that, are any of the issues we brought up going to be addressed? Any of them? I mean, so far I'm not hearing about that. And the people who haven't come here are, how long do the people on 41st Street have to live with their windows closed, dust mitigation? Years. We're asking people to live for 10 years with issues. I just think it's not the right development for this place. Once again, like the others, not opposed to development. The density of this development and the dramatic cuts and falls to the land are just, it's way too dense for the piece of property it's on. And I hope you consider that.
Tina, when you can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon Brown, 2605 41st Street. I'm not opposed to this either, and I know I'm going to look at you when I say this. You might think that we are because we're coming against it because it's in our neighborhood. I'm opposed to the density. And you can't compare it to the other places because it is different. You're not comparing apples to apples, you're comparing apples to oranges. They don't compare. North Middle, North High, where this is going in at, totally different from these other developments. I don't even know where Remsen Place is, but I know where the other one.
Remsen Place is over off of Castleman and West 19th, and there's a grade school right across the street from it.
Yes, and I said, what the heck? The traffic's already super bad there. Now that you tell me where Remsen Place is, I know exactly where you're talking. I have to drive to Les Hills. Ugh. Anyway, so traffic is definitely an issue. It's, I think, one of the things that we all deal with. Mayor, I agree. I have to zoom freaking out of my parking lot, my driveway, just to ensure I don't get hit over that hill. Now they want to put an in-out drive, Buffalo Run or whatever name they want to give it, right there. That is a terrible area to bring traffic out of, in my opinion. I wanted to call out somebody else on something else. I wrote down a lot of things. I agree, the traffic study should have been done a long time ago. Thank you, Mayor. I agree with your points. You can say it's affordable housing, and I think what you're saying, and I addressed this in my email, is you're building high-end housing, and you're assuming that people down here are gonna go up, and everybody's gonna go up, and everybody's gonna go up a level. And I think that you can't specifically plan on that, especially when you look at Bing's Court and how long it took to get just the small amount of housing that we had in there, the amount of time. I also get frustrated with moving the dirt around because, well, it's in my property now and it's not my dirt. And it was in the neighbor's properties and it's not my dirt. It came from the hill from where they did development. You can pound it down all you want. It doesn't stop what Mother Nature does. Poo, dirt, rolls downhill. So who's going to fix all that? I think they said they'll resolve it during the final design, but what happens after when Mother Nature sends that storm and somebody's runoff affects how my runoff was? So think about it. Just please hear what we are saying in that neighborhood. Drive that neighborhood. I'm sorry, you can say that the no parking signs worked. They did not. They did not.
We hear from a couple more. I guess, first of all, who's opposed to the project? We normally do this so that we don't have to have everybody come up. Who's opposed to the project as it stands today? Okay, and who's supportive? Okay. All right, we'll take a couple more from both sides, or at least a couple more, and then we're going to vote because it's a lot of repetitive stuff, so.
Tim Alvano, 2701 Bings Court. My concern is you talk about taking 8 loads of dirt off a day. What happens when the houses start developing and what are they going to offload that basement dirt that they dig the basements with? They're going to offload that off-site. I don't know if anybody took that into consideration. And then the dust control and the hours of operation, because that's going to, you're going to have a year of moving dirt if everything goes smooth. Is there a time frame that they work 9 to 5 or Monday through Friday, or how's that work? You guys got a plan for that?
Chris, are there standards that they normally, I mean, obviously with the dirt and erosion mitigation, there are ordinances and things they have to follow?
I'd have to defer to Gordon on if the grading ordinance has a time frame that they're able to operate.
It's not a borrow pit, though. You can't have hours, but go ahead.
Gordon Fair, city engineer. The construction hours are labeled in our code. Usually it's 7 o'clock at night, 7 to 7, I think, plus special permissions.
Monday through Friday, or?
I believe Saturday as well.
Okay.
I don't have that memorized.
Is that grading or is that borrow?
Grading.
Okay.
That's about all I got.
Thank you.
One more.
My name's Alyssa Solzberger. I live on Bings Court and would border this proposed development. I want to draw some attention and concern to those of us who live next to this development. By not waiting to see if a traffic study is done, what you've told us is it doesn't matter. It's going to be bad, and the only thing that study will do is tell those of us who live here how bad it's going to be for us. I also don't think anybody has accounted for the wind on that hill. I've made a repair to my roof every year that I've lived on Bings Court due to high wind. As it now stands, farming practices keep dust and debris down, but you're expecting to tear up that field, haul dirt all over the property, take truckloads upon truckloads of dirt out, and not have it make a significant impact on the houses surrounding the project. Your dirt is going to be on the siding of my house, in my air conditioner, in the air, in my outdoor living spaces. Am I expected to allocate hours every week to power wash the exterior of my home to maintain value? Are we supposed to live inside for the duration of this project? Realistically, if you say it's going to take 12 months, it's probably more like 15 to 18. That's 2 years where I can't go outside just in the dirt work phase of this project. I hear repeatedly that water concerns have been managed, that no one should be concerned about building on fill dirt or any settling involved. But what I can tell you is when I bought on Bings Court, I was told water had been managed. That was not true. The water from my property flooded my neighbor's fences. The water from my neighbor's property made a pond in my front yard. I had to install a lot of personal improvements, drain tile, drains. I have a 2-to-1 grade slope as well. It's been a nightmare to deal with. I will never personally support a development, although I am not opposed to all development. I just believe that we deserve a better development than the proposed one, and that when you are considering this proposed development, you should also consider those of us who have to live with your decision. Thank you.
And to just clarify something. Yes. Not for Tim. It's 7 days a week, 7 to 9 p.m. according to our code. So we know. All right. Unless the council wants to hear more people, I think we can go ahead and vote.
Chris, when's the traffic study going to be done?
I'd have to defer to the petitioner. I believe their expectation is the end of January.
Ryan? Correct. Okay. What do you, I mean, a few comments were, could we wait on the traffic study? Can you tell me why we can or cannot? Yeah, to the podium. Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan Callahan, CEC. Sorry, I could hear my name, but I couldn't see who was talking to me.
Yeah. We had some comments made, want to wait for the traffic study, and you said by the end of January. Is there a reason why we could not wait, or do we have to proceed, or what are your thoughts on?
My thoughts are that the traffic study is not going to impact zoning or preliminary plats, so I see no reason to wait. The plans of 60% are in the city's possession. With Gordon's staff, we have had comments, we have been working on it. In my opinion, waiting will delay this project because design won't be able to continue on until the traffic study is done and, more importantly, the preliminary plat and zoning is finished. So it's essentially delaying the project. I would have to talk to our client, but I think depending upon how far it gets pushed into 2026, you could see this spilling over even into 2027 for grading.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Ryan, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know if you'll be able to answer this because I think it would have to be a lot of tabulation, calculation. And I appreciated you and your team, everyone, at least taking time individually to sit down with us, talk about the project, talk about thoughts, what we have. And look, one of the big things that I mentioned to you and when we had that discussion is I do appreciate trying to have that affordability component because I don't think we have an abundance of homes at different price points in different neighborhoods where whether it's we're looking to attract companies to come here and there is a low housing stock, or if we don't have houses that are at various price points for people to be able to go into. And I think that some of the space, or especially in the interior of the development, we were looking at different creative measures, whether it was slab on grade, whether it was smaller, more dense, smaller yards, things like that, to be able to allow those lot prices to be reduced. And we were looking at saving people or future homeowners approximately $70,000 per lot, per build, in the hopes that we can remain affordable for new families or people's first homes, things like that, to be competitive. So here's where my question is, because I'm finally getting to it, okay? My question is, for argument's sake, one of the things that I'm hearing from the neighbors most specifically is the density or wanting more green and passive spaces, right? And that it only is included in one park, which is X amount of an acre or acres, and is just they would like to see more. So here's my argument. I wonder how much it would affect the price overall, of the per lot and the per savings if there was additional green space in some of these different sections. So say, for instance, you took like 2 lots out of the center section, or 2 lots or 1 lot out of a further west section or something like that to leave for more parks throughout. That would maybe address some of those. I understand you would want it to be contiguous and make sense, but maybe it would also address the density or the locations of parks and added green space. I just wonder if we would be able to calculate what maybe that change in price or cost would be. Because is it accurate to say, as far as the projected numbers of units and things, we're just trying to make sure to keep prices affordable, show a range of different homes at different options for people and families?
That is a fair statement. I think to answer that question, it's kind of it's a hypothetical and a hypothetical.
No,
so and I'm an engineer and I'm not a big hypothetical individual.
I get it, man.
I can say a couple things. One, as you come up the hill from 41st Street, there are some houses that we talked about, the red lots, as we call them.
Yep.
If those lots, just those lots coming up the hill, were removed, we've calculated based on the overall number of lots and I'm looking for my notes, in the entire development. If those lots were eliminated, the city of Sioux City would lose out on about $100,000 in TIF revenue because of the 80-20 split, and you would see anywhere from a $5,000 to $10,000 per lot increase on all remaining lots. Not just the ones that we're losing, but all remaining lots. The point I'm getting at with that is little changes make big changes in housing and affordability. That's what we've been trying to balance with staff is how many lots can we put here and yet not be super dense and way over dense compared to other developments. It is not a development of triplexes, quads. It's majority single-family residences. Those cost more. So we have to build because you're getting less doors, you're getting less bang for your buck. We have tried to balance that, hearing from what your staff has said, what our client has said, to try and keep it a nice balance. I'm not going to say that everything in life is perfect and we could go back and change stuff. 100% that could occur. At some point, it's a decision that needs to be made by council. You know, what is the overall goal here? The overall goal here is affordable housing. This solution delivers that. Could it be tweaked? Could it be changed? Could it be made better? I'm sure, you know, hindsight is 20/20. Everything could be in the future, but I do think this is a reasonable solution to the problem. I don't know if I answered your question.
I got a question, because
Yes, sir.
it's really, it didn't come up when you met with me, but it did today when I met with Gordon. We advanced the money for a traffic study. Traffic was a big concern the last time. Why in the world did you wait? It's not going to affect your plot. We can all agree with that. But it's going to affect the neighborhood. And some of this neighborhood resistance is because they don't know what's going to happen to their neighbor. Why wouldn't that have been a priority? I don't get that, Ryan. I'm sorry, but.
I think you've got to get to a certain level of design before you can do that.
Well, you were 60% for quite a while. I mean, we gave you money for a long time ago. And again, you guys can tell me ARPA money's not our money, but it is our money. Could have been used anywhere in the city on any project. We gave the ARPA money for that. And that should have been a high, from my standpoint, especially if nothing else, the rest of these guys don't have to back out on 41st Street, but I mentioned it a dozen times the last time that was an important part of this development. Listen, I'm not as opposed to this project as you think I should be, but I'm opposed to the way, I think we need housing, I think we need lots, I get all that, and I don't think this is a bad place for it. But one of the single most important desires of this neighborhood is to know how the heck they're going to get out and go to work in the morning, and that's become a low priority here. I don't understand that. I just don't get it, especially when we gave you the money up front to do it.
I was not part of the discussion with staff when we were talking about when the traffic study was executed. It was staff that works for me as well. I do know that it was executed. I saw the contract about a month ago. So it's been in progress. It's not like we just started it a day or so ago. Design does have to get to a certain level. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it couldn't have been done in October. I'm not going to do that because that's just, I don't know that that's a true statement, but.
Well, you lose me on that because that's an important thing for me. At my age, I don't like them backing out of the driveway at all, and I don't like backing out in the morning, so, but. All right, thank you.
Yeah, Ryan, because I am just wondering how critical that is, because that was a big statement. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the drainage or the water flow that was brought up, but that will be addressed, I would hope.
Drainage and water flow are all part of engineering review, and we are currently in conversations with your staff on that right now.
Okay, but on the traffic study,
It's not going to affect your plat. But if you don't have the money to do the improvements, those of us that live there are going to live with the traffic problems. That's the problem for me. But it's not going to affect that plat one bit. They're not going to say, they might say you got to put a stop sign on Indian Hills and 41st Street, but we've had those before when we had problems in the neighborhood. That we all got used to that. I think we should have kept it, by the way, but the engineers again know more than I do, so, but they didn't keep the stop signs, but anyway. It won't affect the plat, Dan.
Okay. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, and to be clear, and you know this, but I'm just saying, talking out loud, we're looking at this being approximately a 10-year development,
Correct.
right? So we are very much so concerned about how it will affect traffic when it's completely built and
Correct.
when it's completely occupied. So I guess the frustration for me is that, you know, shame on the council, shame on us for not pushing or having a better understanding, or if, Mayor, if you wanted that traffic study before you would have a vote, we've had this discussion since 2019. So
This
my
just came
understanding.
back, Alex. Don't blame me for this. You guys know more about it than the engineering committee than I do. Don't.
No, I'm just saying
Don't start that today that
that
I should have
think
known this, because
when that comes back, this is not going to be filled for any time in the immediate future, and we would be able to address improvements, plan in the CIP, be able to put money forward and have planned improvements. Because as I spoke to you, even without this development, I think Outer Drive and these things are undersized. I think it should be improved. And so this is just adding to the necessity to be able to do some of those and hold the city accountable, saying, yeah, we need to be able to do this. You need to improve these areas. Because in my opinion, it's like, man, if I lived up there, I'm excited about the growth and the development that's happening in that area, as far as Aldi and that entire corridor right there. Then you have the new the water park that's going to be going in. You have the new Quick Star. You have all these different areas and developments that are happening in that area, which makes it attractive to live in. And so I think, yes, do I wish we had that traffic study in hand right now to say, yes, we need to start saving for that road immediately? You know, maybe, but I also think that that will help dictate where we need to direct future funds and say, yes, this is going to affect this. In the CIP, we need to have a discussion about what's going to be made to improve those areas. Because it sounds like, especially around school time, it's been a problem for quite a while. And so it's something that is not you, it's not the development. The development is trying to meet the need for affordable housing, the need for good housing in an area that is a wonderful neighborhood, close to schools, close to a trail. I mean, all along Outer Drive, I'm jealous of that trail all the time. You know, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of great connectivity there. And I think it will just be on us to take the information from the traffic study and the understanding that we have, in 10 years, this could be fully developed and fully occupied. Let's move forward and progress our city in a meaningful direction with informed decisions, and saying we're not going to improve a roadway if we don't know this is going to happen. Why would we pursue that if Rod said, you know what, I've had enough, you know, and I'm not going to do the development? Why would we push forward and be planning and budgeting money to improve Outer Drive and improve 41st Street if they said, fine, we're not going to do it because we're frustrated? I think I would understand.
I think you bring up a good point about phasing. I mean, I can assure you the likelihood of 150 houses being built there next year is the likelihood I have a full head of hair by the time I get home
the
tonight.
likelihood of 8 trucks a day when you're moving 25,000 yards of dirt, limiting that to 8 trucks a day, I'll have a full head of hair if that happens. Because that's not going to happen either. You don't make money with 8 truckloads of dirt a day. You know that, I know that. That dirt's going to go out of there, and we're going to have 8 truckloads. We're going to have 24,000 loads of dirt going out of that site, and we're going to have it going out in less than 6 months. That's what's going to happen. And so, yeah, I realize it's an inconvenience for a short period of time, but to say that this isn't going to affect anything right away that's not true. We're going to have trucks going every way they go because we can't limit where they can go. They're going to be going by my house. They're going to be going by the houses down the street. And that's the way you haul dirt. I get it. And I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong, but to say that we're not gonna be impacted, we're gonna be impacted more the first year, 6 months of this project than we are after that, by far. Because you don't make money moving dirt 1 or 2 loads at a time, not the way Lieber moves it. He's gotta move it, I get it. He's gotta get that dirt out of there, or he can't do the rest of the development, but we're gonna have some issues because of that, and we'll have to live with it. That part doesn't bother me as much as it does my neighbors, because I'm not as close to that dirt as they are, so I can live with it. But for those of you that think I'll have a tea some iced tea on the deck and we can watch trucks move when they start moving it, because it's not gonna be simple. They're gonna be flying out of there, so. But it's just, I wish, you can say what you want, Alex, but this council doesn't have the ability, tax-wise, to make the improvements. They're gonna be necessary, even in an extended period of time. We can barely fix potholes around here. We're not gonna spend that, to fix that road, Outer Drive, even if you took it up to Cheyenne, would be 10, 12 million bucks in today's prices. I mean, it's more than 10 blocks, $1 million a block. It doesn't take an engineer to know that it's a big project. It's a huge project, so. Anyway, let's vote.
Thank you.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
No.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
You guys want to, I'm not going to vote, oppose waiving the statutory rule because it's not going to change the vote. So if you want to move that, go ahead.
I'd like to wait a week.
Okay. Then you can't do 14.
Correct. Then I believe staff would request a deferral on the motion to approve the preliminary plat until the rezoning issue is decided.
You move that.
That's the way it works, huh?
You can't do it without, can't do the 14 without doing 13. That's why I'm not going to oppose to waive the rules.
Okay, go ahead and do, go ahead and do the second and third then.
Okay, if somebody got to move it.
Julie did, I seconded.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
No.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Got to move second, third.
Second.
Scott.
No.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Okay. We're going 15 is a hearing and resolution determining the area to be blighted. No, we got to do 14, I'm sorry. 14 is a motion approving the preliminary plat of Lieber Heights subdivision. The petitioner's Rod Lieber. P&Z recommends approval of the conditions. You'll need to move it and second it.
Move it.
Second.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
No. See what you start all the time, Andrew.
I know.
15 is, let me get back here. 15 is a hearing resolution determining an area to be blighted and designated such area as appropriate for the urban renewal project and adopting amendment number 1 to the amended and restated combined Floyd River urban renewal plan property at 3000 Outer Drive, 2400 3rd Street, and 3410 31st Street, and 2220 Hawkeye Drive. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
16 is a hearing resolution adopting or determining an area to be blighted and designating such area as appropriate for an urban renewal project and adopting the amendment number 3 to the amended and restated Teton urban renewal plan property at 2319 41st Street and 2605 and a half 41st Street. Somebody will need to move it.
Move it.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing, okay.
Sharon Brown, 2605 41st Street.
Still there.
Unfortunately. Okay. I have two questions. How is the $10 million not a cost to the taxpayers of the city? This is going back to 13 and 14 or whatever numbers we were on. And secondly, it says in here that hearing and resolution is determining an area of the city to be blighted area, an economic development area, and that the rehabilitation, conservation, redevelopment, development, or a combination thereof of such an area is necessary in the interest of public health, safety, or welfare. How does that meet, how does this development meet that requirement to go to a urban renewal district?
Would you like me to answer?
Yeah, you've got to answer that.
Our urban,
Way
thank you.
above my-
Our urban renewal plans have joint designations. They can be slumber blighted or economic development. They're combined plans. This would obviously fall under the economic development portion of the urban renewal plan, not slumber blighted.
An economic development area
And that's
that is necessary in the interest of the public health, safety, or welfare.
Yes.
How is this in the interest of public health, safety, or welfare? That's my question.
Sure. And I would just say we have always had designated combined plans for urban renewal, and this is a permissible use under those plans.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the question, but thank you. And the $10 million, I'd like to know about that. Thanks.
The $10 million, that's a max amount for assistance under the plan. It doesn't mean that we'll reach the entirety of that amount, but we have to make sure that we're above potential assistance that could be offered.
Hearing's now closed.
Is that about the dig funds for that project?
You got to come to the mic.
Paul Koskovich, sorry, I thought this was coming up in a later meeting. Is she talking about the dig funds for Rod's project?
No, this is in addition to.
Okay, so the dig funds will be addressed at another meeting?
As this progresses forward, there would have to be a development agreement that will come forward for final approval by the council, which will outline all of the funding sources related to the project.
Okay, so don't discuss that right now.
No.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing is closed.
O'Kane. Aye. Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
No.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
17 is a hearing and resolution determining an area to be blighted and designating such area as appropriate for an urban renewal project and adopting amendment number 3 to the amended and restated combined Central Sioux City CBD urban renewal plan. Property at 622 4th Street, 100 to 124 Pierce Street, 400 block of Pearl Street, and the 705 West 6th Street. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore. O'Kane.
18 is a hearing and resolution determining an area to be blighted and designating such area as appropriate for the urban renewal project, adopting of amendment number 2 to the amended and restated Donner Park urban renewal plan. Property at 6140 Harbor Lane and 6302 Harbor Drive. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
19 is an ordinance designating an urban revitalization area as amended by the amended and restated urban revitalization area plan. The first consideration was approved December 1st, 2025.
I'll move that.
Well, wait a minute. We got to move for the second reading because first consideration was good. This says, yeah, move second reading. Go ahead, Alex.
I said I'll move it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But we said we're going to go through all three.
Well, we did first reading, so this said it. I got a motion for first reading again.
Oh, really, second reading.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is second reading.
Correct.
Right.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. Anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No.
Second.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott. Waters.
Aye.
Third reading.
Second.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
20 is a resolution approving a development agreement and minimum assessment agreement with Koskovich and Murphy Developments for the property at 2400 3rd Street, 2601 2nd Street, 2529 2nd Street, 2535 2nd Street, and 2537 2nd Street.
I'll move it.
Second.
Go ahead.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
No, and I'll tell you why no. This is been consistent in these. And earlier today, we had a guy that agreed to build a $6 million building with $4 million guaranteed assessment, and we're giving him less incentive than we're giving this project. And I don't see the logic, and I don't understand why we would do something like that, so I'm going to vote no.
Waters.
Well, and I'll say that, Paul, I listened to you in previous meetings, and honestly, I think that I understand economic development and the need for flexibility in negotiating deals, and some developers are going to need other incentives other than whether it's tax abatement or other funds, whether it's on the front end or throughout the entirety of the project. I understand. And so I want to give the team flexibility to be able to make these developments happen. However, I do worry that the lack of consistency does lead to developers saying, well, you did this for this, then I demand this, or I deserve this, which I think is unfortunate. And that's not your fault. That's just the way that it's been done, you know, and we've kind of set ourselves up for that argument, because then we have to deal with listening to difficult people that will just say, well, I deserve this and I deserve it because I'm doing this, and you gave it to so-and-so else. So it's not the fault of you, it's the fault that we don't have necessarily a consistent thing, but I understand the need for flexibility too. And so it just becomes difficult. So with that, to make this, to understand that it's not all apples to apples and it's never going to be, aye.
And Moore.
Aye.
Yeah, thanks for the approval. I just want to be clear to elaborate what you just said. I couldn't agree more, and I will be back here when Rod's project is up here, because I'm sure the dig funds are going to be excessive. I think a lot of the problems would be alleviated if this next council comes in and sets a standard of what can be expected.
I already told you I was working on that.
I agree. Well,
Okay.
you're one of five.
Ask Julie what I texted. I mean,
Right?
I texted her the exact same thing.
I think people would be happy with just consistency, right? That's all I'm asking for is consistency. It doesn't matter if you're doing stuff
I have
downtown.
been consistent on that, and I've been consistent on downtown. You can't say I haven't. You don't agree with it. I get that. But
I'm simply talking out loud. I'm
yeah,
looking
and
at
I am
everybody.
too.
I'm
But
you
how
have
do
your
I
own
sit here
opinion.
and vote? Brand new guy in town, $3 million minimum assessment. He's done great things in North Sioux, just like you've done great
Yeah,
things.
Donnie
here.
Grant's awesome. You're right, and he should get the same abatement I did,
Well,
right?
He'll be back now.
At the end of the day, he's
Everybody else that's been here is going to be back now. They were happy with the 75% for 7 years, but they're all going to be back now, and these guys are going to get to
well, like I
address it.
said, if we put on our website here in Sioux City, if
Yeah.
you spend this much, this is what you can expect to get. It's called standards and consistency,
Yep.
right? And that's why people are upset like me, is because we are not consistent here. If you had a consistent streamlined process.
You have a different definition of consistency. We've talked about it. You and I don't agree with what consistency is, but just because you got a definition doesn't mean I'm wrong or you're wrong.
Right, I'm just
We
saying.
have a difference of
I mean,
opinion.
Well, right, I'm just saying, it would alleviate a lot of problems, and people would know when they come to Sioux City what they can expect to get.
Yes, but you also did say to me, and then
Everybody
you have
is
to have
gonna-
the power to override it.
Well, I mean, like, listen, like, it's one way or the other, right?
Which is what-
Right, like, let's, if,
All right.
I'm fine, if everyone just
Okay.
said, listen, this is the standard,
Yeah.
this is what you're gonna get, no questions asked.
Well, but you asked one week.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
What I'm not fine with is when, some out-of-town developer comes in and, wants to do the, I'm not gonna mention buildings,
Yeah,
whatever.
don't mention names, but we get it. We get it. I told you.
Consistency.
I'm already having the conversation to do that. I have been.
But thanks for everyone that did vote yes, I appreciate it.
Okay.
What happens if I have to be somewhere and Dan has to be somewhere? So we're okay? You guys mind?
Alex, go ahead. You have seniority.
Yeah, can we move 20 to 23 and 24? We want to move to defer those for a week so we can both be here. Was that going to be okay with you guys?
Defer 21 and,
He can do his report.
no, we better wait until we're all present.
Tyler, would
No,
you
the
be okay?
presentation's fine. The presentation's fine. I'm sorry. It's the letter of understanding.
Well, you'll want to see the presentation though too,
Right.
because
Let's
it'll be
just
a
wait.
part of voting on the agreement. Tyler, would you be available next week?
Okay, thank you.
Will that work? All
Well,
right.
hey, at least you got to hang out for a meeting. There you
So we're
go.
going to move 22 and 24.
Yes.
We're going to defer
No,
those.
No,
I think
23.
the numbers are, you're looking at
20
23 and 24.
24,
Yeah.
move to defer for a week.
Second.
Okay.
O'Kane?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
As much as I'd love to stay for the financial reporting, I think I'm going to let you go ahead on up and.
No idea.
So Randy Corona, County and Reporting Manager. Today, we bring the annual comprehensive financial report for approval. And like in previous years, we have Andy here from Bergen KDV, and he has a presentation to highlight some financial data for you guys. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank the finance staff. They did a fantastic job working on this year's audit. We had a new staff this year, so they did good. We got it on time, and I'll let Andy speak now.
Andy, thank you, City Council, for having me here tonight, here to present the audit results for the year ended June 30th, 2025. Wanted to start by highlighting the components of our audit, and first highlighting the independent auditor's report included in the city's financial statements. This report highlights our role as your auditor, but also highlights that management's role in that the financial statements are their responsibility, and it's our responsibility as your auditor to come in and provide an audit in accordance with generally accepted audit standards as well as government audit standards, and provide our opinion as to whether we believe the financial statement present fairly in all material respects, and happy to report that we are providing a clean or an unmodified opinion, which is the best that we can give as your auditor. We also issued one other report, that's our government auditing standards report. This report talks about our consideration of internal control over financial reporting. We're required to understand your internal processes and procedures around financial reporting and report any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that come to our attention as part of that understanding. And we did have one material weakness this year related to material audit adjustments. There was a delay this year in the release of the 2025 compliance supplement, which is necessary in order to issue a single audit report on federal programs. So that component of our audit is delayed because of that and will be issued at a later date. Last piece I wanted to report is our Iowa legal compliance report. So there's certain state statutes that we're required to report on. The only item to report this year there are certain funds in a deficit position. So this does highlight those in our reporting here, just to further, continue to have City Council understand those and any future plans to resolve those. The last piece of our communication is our communications letter. This includes all required communication in accordance with audit standards, also includes some emerging issues for accounting changes, but also includes our financial analysis that provides some trend information on some of the certain financial data of the city. So I wanted to highlight some of those charts and graphs with you today. The first is an overview of the general fund balance over the last 5 years. We did see an increase here in 2025, increasing by about 7.7%. There was expenditures that exceeded revenues for the year of about $12 million. There were net transfers in from other funds of about $14 million, majority of that coming from the Employee Benefits Fund as well as the Local Option Sales Tax Fund. That netted to a positive surplus in the general fund of about $2 million for the year, again causing the increase in the overall general fund balance. Also wanted to highlight the makeup of general fund revenues. Majority of revenues are coming from taxes, making up about 67% of overall general fund revenues compared to about 62% last year. A lot of that shift has to do with the increase in the levy as well as a decrease in charges for services, which we'll see here on the following slide. Next slide highlights the different components again of general fund revenues, but gives that 5-year history. We did see revenue decrease about $70,000 here from 2024 to 2025. Taxes increased about $3.4 million with an increase in levy, and that was offset by a decrease in charges for services of about $2 million related to ambulance charges and Medicaid reimbursements. The other categories were fairly consistent with previous years. In terms of the makeup of general fund expenditures, those have looked pretty much the same over the last 2 years. I think everything within about 1 percentage point, with the majority of general fund expenditures going towards public safety, which makes up 70% of general fund expenditures. When we take a look at the different expenditure types over the last 5 years, overall we did see expenditures increase about $4.3 million. Again, public safety being the most significant component there. Also had the largest increase there of about $2.9 million. And that was mainly due to wage costs, benefit costs, and repairs and maintenance. Other functions had fairly minor variances compared to the prior year. The next slides highlight the city's enterprise funds, and these operate a bit differently. These are more like a business in that user charges are established to cover the cost of providing these services, and we start by taking a look at the water fund. The water fund did generate a surplus this year of about $2.8 million, which did increase the unrestricted net position from about $15.8 million up to about $17.2 million. We did see an increase in revenue with an increase in usage. Also saw an increase in expenses for the year of about $3 million, mainly due to repairs and maintenance, increase in depreciation expense as well as pension expense, but again, did see an increase in overall underutilization in this fund. The next fund to highlight is the sewer fund. The sewer fund also saw an increase in total revenues, again, increase in usage as well as an increase in rates. Also saw an increase in total expenses with an increase in hauling costs as well as some repair costs. This fund has continued to see an increase in the unrestricted net position as the city continues to plan for some major capital projects in this area, but again, did see a surplus here for 2025. Next fund to highlight is the solid waste fund. The net position in this fund has been fairly flat here over the years presented at around $3 million. It did experience a loss in each of the last 5 years, but if you were to exclude depreciation, which is a non-cash operating expense, continued to see a deficit there of about $400,000. So continue to recommend monitoring.
What's the main component of the depreciation?
Probably could turn to management.
Is it the property itself? That's okay. I can find out offline then. Okay, that's fine.
It's not significant because the difference there, between including or excluding, it's only $15,000-$16,000. So whatever it is, it's fairly
Small. I just was wondering what it was.
I would say probably some small equipment.
Okay.
But I can look at it and send you a report.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
We did exclude one enterprise fund for presentation this year. It was the airport fund. There was a change in accounting this year in terms of how that's being presented. That was presented as an enterprise fund in the past, and now is being presented as a governmental fund. So it does present a bit differently this year. So just wanted to highlight that. And then the last couple of slides highlight the tax rate. And so that did increase from 15.765% up to 16.237%. And then the overall tax levy there did increase from about 54.3 million up to just over 60 million here in 2025. That's a high-level look at the audit results as well as some financial analysis there. And next, I'd just like to open up for any questions.
Thorough. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Teresa, what
city
would you
staff
like
working
to-
through it.
Teresa Fitz, Finance Director. I did want to note that the airport, the change did come to council for approval earlier in the year, so you guys were aware of that. So.
Yep. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, and I want to thank Finance too for this process. I know it's not easy and
Can't even imagine.
quite a process to get through, so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Having me.
Oh, hold on. I gotta get into my computer apparently. And then read. I don't have the mayor's copy to be able to read, but I'm going to guess that he would say, 22 is a resolution accepting the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2025. I'll move that.
Second?
Shaner?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Okay, thus concludes the agenda. On to citizen concerns. Any citizens to be heard?
Do you have to formally defer the last two items? You
We did.
You voted on them? Okay.
Thank you for checking.
Any citizens to be heard?
Any citizens?
Nope. Okay. No citizens to be heard? Okay, well, with that, I'll go to council concerns. Matthew?
None this week. We got a busy week ahead of us, so.
Julie?
No concerns. I think they were all registered earlier in the meeting. I think we all had a little something to say about the important topics and the seriousness of them. I'm looking forward to working through the whole process with an open mind.
All right. I would just remind folks that NAIA tournament action is going on tonight. And I'm not sure, there's probably an earlier game that maybe starts at 6 p.m., I forget. And then at 8 p.m., I know the mayor was saying that Concordia and Northwestern are going. Who's the early game? Do you know? Either of you? No, it's okay. So anyway, support NAI. Championship match will be tomorrow night. And so I'm looking forward to that action as well. Otherwise, we do have a number of different meetings and things going on this week, so it'll be a busy one, but I appreciate everyone's patience in working through that process. But anyway, that's all I have. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Shaner?
Aye.
Waters?
Aye.
O'Kane?
Aye.